In the Limpopo Game Reserve, nestled in the golden savannas of South Africa, where acacia trees cast long shadows over the sun-baked land, a story happened that forever changed the local rangers' understanding of the nature of motherly love. It was the height of the dry season, when the grass crunched underfoot and the water holes turned into muddy puddles. During this harsh time, a lioness from a pride living at the foot of Mapungubwe Hill became a mother for the first time. She gave birth to 2 lion cubs, who would later be named Kaya and Tumalo, but their birth was marred by weakness. The cubs trembled, their tiny paws barely moved, and their first roar was so quiet that it was drowned out by the wind. However, the maternal instinct did not awaken in the young lioness. Perhaps due to inexperience or the harsh conditions, she left, leaving the cubs alone in the blazing sun. Kaya and Tumalo lay curled up in a ball, their fur growing dusty, their hunger weakening with each passing hour. Without milk and warmth, their chances of survival were fading like the morning mist. The reserve rangers were patrolling the area when they came across the cubs. Amira, a seasoned ranger with 10 years of experience, and her partner Lucas, a recent addition to the team, knew immediately that the cubs would not last a day without help. They carefully carried Kaya and Tumalo to the reserve's emergency veterinary center. In a small room with wooden walls permeated with the smell of antiseptic, the fight for their lives began. Amira stayed with the cubs overnight, checking their temperature and pulse. Kaya's breathing was uneven, and Tumalo was barely opening his eye. Lucas, despite his inexperience, stayed with them, warming blankets and preparing formula. But artificial feeding did not help. The cubs' digestive systems rejected the formula, and their condition worsened. The reserve's veterinarian, Nandi, gave a disappointing prognosis. Without real maternal care, Kaya and Tumalo would not survive more than 3 days. The next morning, the entire reserve staff gathered for an emergency meeting. Ideas were floated one after another, from finding another lioness to transporting the lion cubs to another reserve. But time was against them. Then Lucas, remembering an old article about a dog who raised a tiger cub, proposed a bold idea: find a nursing dog. It was a risky move. Dogs and lions rarely get along, but there were no other options left. The team sent out requests to nearby farms and villages. Only one response came back. A family of farmers living 30 kilometers from the reserve reported that their German shepherd named Nala had recently lost her puppies due to complications during childbirth. Nala, a 5-year-old dog with thick black and red fur and piercing eyes, was known for her stubborn character. Her owner said that she had never gotten along with cats, growling and barking at them whenever they met. Amira was hesitant when she heard this, but Lucas insisted. "We have to try. This is their only chance." That same night, Amira went to get Nala. The farmers met her in an old wooden house, surrounded by cornfields. Nala was lying in the corner, her eyes tired, but wary. Amira handed the dog a piece of cloth on which Kaya and Tumalo had slept. Nala sniffed it for a long time, then licked it softly, as if accepting the scent. It was the first sign of hope. The next morning, Nala was brought to the reserve. When she entered the veterinary room, everyone held their breath. Amira held the leash, ready to pull the dog away if she showed aggression. Kaya and Tumalo lay in the basket, their fur bristling from the cold, their breathing barely audible. Nala slowly approached, sniffed the cubs, and then, to everyone's amazement, lay down next to them and pulled them to her warm belly. Kaya, feeling the warmth, instinctively reached out to Nala and began to suckle Tumalo. The weaker one hesitated, but Nala gently licked him behind the ear, and he followed his sister. The room was silent, broken only by the sounds of breathing and soft sucking. "She accepted them," Amira whispered, wiping away a tear. Lucas, not believing his eyes, wrote down every detail in his observation log. Nala became a real mother to Kaya and Tumalo. She not only fed them, but also cared for them with incredible devotion, licking their fur, cleaning up dirt, waking them up in the morning with gentle nudges of her nose. When Tumalo, more playful, began to bite her ears, Nala patiently endured his pranks, only occasionally looking at him with a gentle reproach. Kaya loved to fall asleep snuggled up to Nala's paw, as if seeking protection in her warmth. Every morning, Nala would take the cubs to an old baobab tree, where they would lie in the shade while she guarded them, looking around warily. The rangers joked, "We don't have lions anymore. We have 3 dogs with one mother." The cubs grew quickly, their fur thickening, and their games becoming more energetic. They began jumping on branches, gnawing on roots, and even trying to hunt Nala's tail. She just snorted and licked them in response, teaching them restraint. Nala's story spread throughout the reserve, and soon it became known beyond its borders. Tourists came to see the mother dog raising the lions. Photos of Nala with Kaya and Tumelo graced local newspapers, and Lucas even started a blog describing their life. But time passed, and Nala began to tire. Her steps became slower, her breathing became heavier. The cubs, on the contrary, were growing into strong young lions. Their weight reached 50 kilograms, and their claws could already tear the bark of a tree. The rangers made a difficult decision. It was time for Nala to go home. Her health did not allow her to continue caring for the grown lion cubs. On the day of the farewell, Kaya refused to leave the enclosure, growling and scratching the ground, as if she felt that she was losing her mother. Tumelo walked in circles, clinging to Nala and quietly whining. Nala licked each of them on the forehead, and then, as if realizing that her mission was accomplished, allowed Amira to lead her to the car. Lucas, who was standing nearby, could not hold back his tears. This dog gave everything so that they could live. Nala returned to the farm, where she was surrounded by care. She lay on the veranda, sometimes raising her head when she heard the sound of a car, as if hoping to see her lion cubs. Kaya and Tumelo moved to the training enclosure, where they learned to hunt and survive. They became stronger, more aggressive, but every time they saw Amira's green jacket, their eyes softened, as if remembering Nala. 3 years later, when Nala turned 8, Amira decided to arrange a meeting. No one knew if the lions would recognize their adoptive mother. That day, the reserve was ready. Rangers surrounded the enclosure, and Lucas held a radio, ready to give a signal in case of danger. Nala, already gray and limping, entered the enclosure, her tail swaying slightly. Kaya and Tumelo, now mighty lions with thick manes, stood on the hill. A familiar scent wafted on the wind, and Nala looked up. Tumelo was the first to notice her. He froze, then let out a low roar, and lunged down. Kavya followed, her eyes shining with excitement. Amira shouted, "Hold the gate," but Nala stood calmly, her eyes full of confidence. Tumelo ran up and, instead of attacking, buried his muzzle in Nala's neck, rubbing against her like a kitten. Kaya lay down next to her, licking the dog's paw. The lions, now fearsome predators, acted like children who had returned to their mother. The rangers froze. Lucas, not taking his eyes off her, whispered, "They remember." After all this time, Nala lay down between the lions, her tail wagging slowly, her eyes half closed, as if she had finally found peace. Kaya laid her head on Nala's back, and Tumelo guarded them, looking around. This meeting became a sensation. Scientists from the University of Pretoria came to study the phenomenon. They measured the lions' stress levels and found that their pulse was calmer near Nala than in any other situation. "It's not just instinct," said the biologist. "It's an emotional connection. Memory. Love." The story of Nala and her cubs entered scientific journals as an example of unique interspecies motherhood. Nala returned to the farm, where she lived for another 2 years, surrounded by care. She was invited to the reserve every year, and each time Kaya and Tumelo greeted her with the same tenderness. In Limpopo, they still talk about the dog who became a mother to lions, proving that love knows no boundaries, neither species nor time. Thank you for listening to this story. If you liked it, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new stories about the wonders of wildlife.